r/AskReddit, what is something you have been searching for years without success, despite the popular saying that nothing is ever lost on the internet? Approximately a decade ago, I came across a website on StumbleUpon detailing a mysterious expedition into the New England woods, where an alleged portal to an alternate dimension exists. The narrative involved a group that ventured into the portal and never returned, with hints of an upcoming expedition to follow. This parallel dimension resembled an uncolonized and pristine America. Notably, the website included schematics for a chair designed to ease the journey. What intrigued me most were the directions for finding the forest and the expedition group, stating something like, "If you've discovered this website, you've either been searching for us for a long time, or you are meant to find us as dictated by the will of the universe. To continue your journey, solve the riddle hidden on this page. If you cannot solve it, you are not destined to find us." Despite my efforts, including using StumbleUpon and recalling bookmarking the page, I have been unable to locate the website since. One of my exes had a blog. We stayed friends for the longest time after we split up, and I used to like reading it from time to time. We eventually drifted out of touch and moved along like friends do sometimes. I found out she took her own life, and I went looking for her old blog to see if I could make sense of what happened. Too many years passed and I couldn't find it anymore. Once in a while I still look just in case I can find it. A creepypasta I once read. The gist of the story is a girl feels guilty about a classmate of hers who was murdered as a child, and the case was never solved. She's talking to her therapist about it, who puts her in a trance, and she wakes up as a child again 3 days before her classmate was murdered and has to solve the case in time. She eventually ends up breaking into classmate's home, who was also her bully IIRC, along with her brother, and stopping the murderer while getting wounded in the process. It turns out the murderer was the school's principal, who was secretly molesting her and was going to kill her because she was going to talk. The big twist at the end is when the main character makes amends with her classmate and is watching the police lead the murderer away. She's approached by her therapist looking the same as he did in the future, who explains that she didn't actually grow up, she just experienced a physic vision that allowed her to see into the future. So even though she stopped the murder and absolved her guilt, she's still stuck in the body of her childhood self with the memories of an adult and has to relive her childhood all over again. The story ends with her playing SNES with her brother or something. I tried for years to find it archived somewhere but have had no luck. I would kill to reread it in its entirety again. The name of an Australian band that had their album pulled after it was delivered to stores because the title of the album was about terrorism. It was meant to be released for sale the day after September 11th happened. There's this old show from the early 2000s called The Enforcers: True Stories from the Police Files. I liked it as a kid. The show is incredibly obscure. I haven't been able to find any episodes or anything on the internet, no matter how hard I've searched. I really wish I could get all those photos I posted to MySpace in high school. But goddamn, do I have no idea how to retrieve the long-forgotten password for it, or the AOL account I think I used for it. Or if they even exist anymore. This weird game where you would start in a maze with a certain amount of money and then you had to place cannons to kill the zombies before they could make it to the end of the maze. As you killed them you would get money and eventually buy more cannons and more sophisticated weapons to kill them more effectively. I have typed in every combination of words on Google to try to find it, but I haven't been able to find it. That damn Taxi movie with Queen Latifah. The fitness shows of Jack LaLanne. They gone. To provide hope for others, there is once in a while some success. As a kid in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a show on late at night that was just a camera driving and walking around Toronto. Never knew what it was called, and decades later struggled to find anything about it until one lucky day. Now a quick Google search pulls it up immediately. It was called Night Ride and apparently was a workaround for Canadian content laws. https://www.youtube.com/watch V equals XCXDPDSIEK. The internet forgets all the time, we just don't get to choose what it remembers or forgets. The first song I ever asked the name for in the comments of an Instagram post. One person answered with Darude Sandstorm as a joke. Granted, it was a good joke, but I never got the answer. It's been years since then, so I unfortunately don't remember anything about the song. Not the lyrics, no tune, not even what the video on Instagram was about. But I know the second I hear it, I'll recognize it. I'm just playing the waiting game at this point. About 15 years ago I watched a video. This video often surfaces in my memories and I've never been able to find it since. It was an animation/anime/cartoon of some sort, a short movie type length, 15 minutes-ish I think. There was a woman, on a small bridge, crying and upset looking down into the water/river. I think she was considering jumping. It was a beautiful setting and a nice day. Then she heard a baby crying. She went to find the baby and found it under the bridge. It was abandoned in a basket. She took the baby and cared for it, and in the process she saved herself. The whole thing was very well made, good attention to detail, beautiful moving music, nice simple plot. Never been able to find it since. There was an old post I saw on Facepunch Studios a long time ago. It was a bunch of hand-drawn pages drawn by likely someone young, as the artwork was not very good. It was some story about scientists who develop some sort of red goo that expands and takes over the entire world. Some humans escape to the moon, but the red goo creates a giant goo baby that throws the goo at the moon, and humanity is saved by the last second by an angel of death that destroys the goo. There used to be a ghost/paranormal/supernatural website called SoEfogs or something like that. Either it shut down, changed domain names, or went underground. Can't find it now. 10 years old me spent hours on the site reading about encounters of the otherworldly kind, of looking at ghost pics/vids. Didn't even care if it was fake. I remember a GeoCities site called It's the End of the World, again, which was really funny piss take of end of the world predictions. Found sites/lists like it, but think it was gone. There was a personal blog style website of the same area, that I felt the person really had the same sort of vibe as me, and I was on the same wavelength. They name-checked my favorite bands/movies and wrote some slightly depressing blog entries about being lonely. Not sure what happened to them, the site, or why I never tried to contact them. About the only thing I remember from the main page was that they described the site as "you will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy." And yes, I got that reference. An old friend. I knew her a few years before social media became a thing, so we never connected that way. Despite her having a relatively distinctive name, and despite me knowing a lot of details about her, some family names, where she went to grad school, etc. All I have ever been able to find is a birth announcement in an archived newspaper. No hint of this woman anywhere else. Best guess is that she changed her name shortly after we lost touch. But it's weird to find no trace of a person these days. There was an episode of SNL with Tarzan, Tonto, and Frankenstein on a talk show. Phil Hartman started laughing, broke character and couldn't stop, so he just started tearing down the set. I found a clip of it once on YouTube, but it's been removed. There was a story I read. It was on a Tumblr or a blog. It was recounting the story from someone's childhood living in the cold Middle America. Major plot elements: making caramel from tins of condensed milk, recently hunted ducks, releasing lots of little feathers, just outside the door, a dinner party at the next door neighbors, the narrator and their friends coming home early, releasing a cloud of little feathers inside the house. The condensed milk cans had exploded. The scene of carnage of sticky caramel duck feathers all over the walls and ceiling. This was literally my favorite ever story I've read on the internet, and it made me laugh almost as much as the 1969 Easter Mass incident. https://www.tumblr.com/comicgeek/172035884094/ The 1969 Easter Mass incident. Content warnings: religion, food, symbolic cannibalism, symbolic gore, penis mention, blasphemy, so much blasphemy, weapons, war mention. Around 2004/2005 I was big into 36 Crazy Fists. I read an interview, I think it was on their website, where they mentioned a band they toured with or that they were influenced by. As far as I know, they were also from Alaska. I downloaded a few songs from their Pure Volume.com site, and there was one particular song that was one of the most beautiful songs I have ever heard, especially the solo. They kind of sounded like a mix between 36CF and Deftones, also ethereal singing, but the guy had a higher pitched voice, even a bit he is legend-ish because they were super melodic. The music was heavy but almost ethereal because they had some synth/keys in their songs, and you could tell that the keys and guitar had classical influences with some arpeggio-esque stuff going on, especially in the solo. For the life of me I cannot remember the band name. My computer with these songs on crashed and I lost everything. I had some stuff on CDs as well, but those got lost when I moved after university. I am not lying when I said I have spent 1,000s of hours looking for this song for almost 20 years now. Once I start, I go into a massive spiral. It's become a bit of an obsession. I have checked internet archives, spent lifetimes on Spotify and other platforms, read through several articles and interviews, but still nothing. For some reason the words Earth/Ghost seem like they were somehow a part of the name of the band or song. I thought I found them when I learned of Unearth, but it wasn't them because Unearth don't have the synth stuff, and this band had clean singing too. The screams that this guy had weren't deep, more like Chino from Deftones. I would pay some very very serious money to find this song. I hope that one day I do. Just typing this post out means that I know what I am going to be doing for the rest of the day. My MySpace photos. Joseph Gordon-Levitt lip-sync karaokeing on Jimmy Fallon's show alongside Stephen Merchant. Keeps going off YT, and it's my favorite dose of internet. A cartoon that I can't just remember the name of. I want the old WoW forums back. A bunch of old photos and videos that for some reason went missing from my phone. Episodes of Film Fakers. I was in an episode of the CBC show Street Sense in around 1991 or 1992. We ate crickets and mealworms on pizza. I was apparently quoted as saying the mealworms were crunchy. I have never seen the episode. A certain candy that did exist for 2 years in Sweden from 1998 to 2000, and I never saw it after that. It was my favorite growing up. Never seen or heard of it since then, and I'm not expecting it to come back either, even if I would love to. There is a particular picture absurdity card of the Stanford Binet version 4 that I need to see again. It has a grocery store scene. Searching has gotten me nowhere. Art. Well, not the success I wanted, but at least I've improved. There was a movie I rented a couple of times as a kid in the mid-90s. I think it was an anime, but it may not have been from Japan. It was dubbed. The movie was about a group of people who were sent into space to fight an alien threat. The alien creature, from what I can remember, was short, dark green, and had some relation or powers that involved tree roots. I don't remember much beyond this other than the story moved very quickly and most of the movie was fighting. The Keyboard Cat video where he plays with Hall & Oates. The record label issued a notice and now it's completely missing everywhere. A McDonald's ad where a guy has to forget something for each new fact introduced. Something like a new burger made him forget his wife's birthday. This really great song I used to listen to got completely wiped from existence. It was called My Life by Umbrella with a few other artists, including Steven. Was wiped in like 2021, still such a bummer. Some old Nickelodeon nature show that was called AskReddit or something. Normal kids nature show, but at the end kids would send a video asking a nature trivia question to try to stump him. I look for it every now and then under old kids nature shows and every similar term I can think of but can never find a trace. Only reason I look was that in one of the questions he delivered one of the slickest burns to the kid that I think has outstanding meme potential. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you have enjoyed this video and subscribe to never miss an upload.